Vadis, chapter 30. Caesar on returning to Rome was angry because he had returned, and after some days was filled anew with a wish to visit Achaia. He even issued an edict in which he declared that his absence will be short and that the public affairs will not be exposed in detriment because of it. In company with Augustins, among whom Vinicius, he repaired to the capital to make offerings to the gods for an auspicious journey. But on the second day, when he visited the temple of Vesta and even took place which changed all his projects, Nero feared the gods, though he did not believe in them. He feared especially the mysterious Vesta, who filled him with such awe that aside of the divinity and the sacred fire, his hair rose on a sudden from terror. His teeth chattered, a shiver ran through his limbs, and he dropped into the arms of Vinicius, who happened to be behind him. He was borne out of the temple at once and conveyed to the Palatine, where he recovered soon, but did not leave the bed for that day. He declared, moreover, to the great astonishment of those present, that he deferred his journey, since the divinity had warned him secretly against haste. An hour later it was announced throughout Rome that Caesar, seeing the gloomy faces of the citizens and moved by love for them, as father for his children, will remain share lot of their pleasures. The people rejoice at his decision, and certain also that they will not miss games and a distribution of wheat, assemble in crowds before the gates of the Palatine, and raise shouts in honor of the divine Caesar, who interrupted the play at dice with which he was amusing himself with Augustins, and say, yes, there was a need to defer the journey. Egypt and predicted dominion over the Orient cannot escape me. Hence Achaia too will not be lost. It will give command to cut through the isthmus of Corinth. I will raise such moments in Egypt that the pyramids will seem childish toys in comparison. I will have the Sphinx built 7 times greater than that which is gazing in the out than which is gazing into the desert outside Memphis, but it will command that if have my face, coming ages will speak only of the monument of me. With thy verses thou hast reared a monument to thyself already, not 7, but thrice 7 times greater than the pyramid of Cheops, said Petronius. But with my song, inquired Nero, ah, if men could only build for thee a statue like a Memnon, to call with thy voice at sunrise. For all ages to come, and the seas adjoining Egypt will swarm with ships, in which crowds from the 3 parts of the world will be lost in listening to thy song. Alas, who can do that? Said Nero. But thou canst give command to cut off basalt thyself diving in a quadriga. True, I will do that. Thou wilt bestow a gift on humanity. In Egypt I will marry the moon, who is now a widow, and I shall be a god really. And thou wilt give us stars for wives. We will make a new constellation which will be called the constellation of Nero. But do thou marry Vitellius to the Nile, so that they may beget hippopotamus. Give the desert to Digelinus, he will be king of the jackals. And what dost thou predestine to me? Inquired Vatinius. A peace bless thee. Though this arrange such splendid games in Beneventum that I cannot wish thee ill, make a pair of boots from the Sphinx. Those paws must grow numb during new daws. After that thou wilt make sandals for the Colossi, which from the isles before the temples, each one will find there a fitting occupation. Domitius, after, for example, will be treasurer, since he is known for his honesty. I am glad, Caesar, when thou art dreaming of Egypt. I am saddened because thou hast deferred thy plan of a journey. Thy mortal eyes saw nothing, for the deity becomes invisible to whomever it wishes, said Nero. Know that when I was in the temple of Vesta, she herself stood near me and whispered in my ear, deferred the journey. That happened so unexpectedly that I was terrified, though for such an evidence care of the gods for me I should be thankful. We were all terrified, said Tigellinus, and the Vastal Rubria fainted. Rubria, said Nero, what a snow neck she has. But she blushed at the sight of that divine Caesar. True, I noticed that myself. That is wonderful. There is something divine in every vestal, and Rubria is very beautiful. Tell me, said he, after a moment's meditation, why people fear Vesta more than the other gods. That does not mean, though, that I am a chief priest. Fear seized me today. I remember only that I was falling back, that I should have dropped the ground had not some one supported me. Who was it? I, answered Vinicius. Oh, those stern Mars. Why were thou not in Beneventum? They told me that thou wert ill, and indeed thy face is changed. But I heard that Croton wished to kill thee. Is that true? It is, and he broke my arm, but I defended myself. With a broken arm? A certain barbarian helped me. He was stronger than Croton. Nero looked at him with astonishment. Stronger than Croton? Art thou jesting? Croton was the strongest of men, but now here is Syphax from Ethiopia. I tell thee, Caesar, what I saw with my own eyes. There is that peril. Where is that peril? Has he not become king of Nemi? I cannot tell, Caesar. I lost sight of him. Thou knowest not even of what people he is. I had a broken arm. I cannot inquire for him. Seek him, and find him for me. I will occupy myself with that, said Tigellinus. Paniro spoke further to Vinicius. I thank thee for having supported me. I might have broken my head by a fall. On a time thou wert a good companion, but campaigning and service with Corbulo have made thee wild in some way. I see thee rarely. How is that maiden too narrow in the lips, with whom thou wert in love, asked he after a while, and whom I took from Aulus for thee? Vinicius was confused, but Petronius came to his aid at that moment. I will lay a wager, lord, said he, that he has forgotten. Those see his confusion, asking how many of them there were since that time, and I will not give assurance of his power to answer. The Vinicius are good soldiers, but still better gamecocks. They need whole flocks. Punish him for that, lord, by not inviting him to the feast which Tigellinus promises to arrange in thy honor at the Pound of Agrippa. I will not do that. I trust Tigellinus that flocks of beauty will not be lacking there. Could the graces be absent where armor will be present? Answered Tigellinus. Weariness tortures me, said Nero. I have remained in Rome at the will of the goddess. I cannot endure the city. I will go to Antium. I am still with these narrow streets, amid these tumble-down houses, amid these aisles. Foul air flies even here to my house and my gardens. Oh, if an earthwell would destroy Rome, if some angry god would level it to the earth, I will show how a city should be built, which is the head of the world and my capital. Caesar, answered Tigellinus, thou sayest, if some angry god will destroy the city, it is so. It is, what then? But thou art not a god. Nero waved his hand with an expression of weariness, and said, we shall see thy work on the Pound of Agrippa. Afterward I go to Antium. Ye are all little, hence do not understand what I need immense things. Then he closed his eyes, giving to understand that in that way he needed rest. In fact, the Augustines were beginning to depart. Petronius went out with Vinicius and said to him, thou art invited, then, to share in the amusement. Bronzebeard had renounced the journey, but he will be madder than ever. He has fixed himself in the city as his own house. Try thou, too, to find in this madness amusement and forgetfulness. Well, we have conquered the world, and have a right to amuse ourselves. Though Marcus, at a very comely fellow, and to that ascribe in part the weakness which I have freely. By the Ephesian Diana, if thou couldst see thy joined brows, and thy face in which the ancient blood of the Quiris is evident. Quirites. Others near thee looked like freedmen, true. Were it not for that mad religion, Lygia will be in thy house today. Attempt once more to prove to me that they are not enemies of life and mankind. They have acted well towards thee, hence thou mayst be grateful to them. But in thy place I shall detest that religion, and seek pleasure where I can find it. Thou art a comely fellow, I repeat, and Rome is swarming with divorced women. I wonder only that all this does not torture thee yet. Who has told thee that it does not? It tortures me a long time, but I am not of thy ears. Besides, I have other attachments which are lacking thee. I love books, thou hast no love for them. I love poetry, which annoys thee. I love pottery, germs, multitude of things at which thou dost not look. I have a pain in my loins which thou hast not. And finally I have found Eunice, but thou hast found nothing similar. For me it is pleasant in my house among masterpieces. For thee I can never make a man of aesthetic feeling. I know that in life I shall never find anything beyond what I have found. Thou thyself knowest not that thou art hoping yet continually and seeking. If death were to visit thee, with all thy courage and sadness, thou wilt die with astonishment. That is what's necessary to live the world, but I should accept death as a necessity with the conviction that there is no fruit in the world which I have not tasted. I do not hurry, neither shall I loiter. I shall try merely to be joyful to the end, where there are cheerful skeptics in the world. For me, the Stoics are fools. By Stoicism tempers men, at least while thy Christians bring sadness into the world, which in life is the same as rain in nature. Those don't know what I have learned, that during the festivities in which Tigellinus will arrange at the pond of Agrippa, there will be lupanaria, in them women from the first houses of Rome. Will there be not even one sufficiently beautiful to console thee? There will be maidens too appearing in society for the first time as nymphs. Such is our Roman Caesardom. The earth is mild already. The midday breeze will warm the water and not bring pimples on naked bodies. And thou, Narcissus, know this, that there will not be one to refuse thee, not one, even though she be a vestal virgin. Vinicius began to strike his head with his palm like a man occupied eternally with one thought. I should need luck to find such a one. And who did this for thee, if not the Christians? A people whose standards is a cross cannot be different. Listen to me. Greece was beautiful and created wisdom. We created power. And what to thy thinking can this teaching create? If thou know, explain, for by Pollux I cannot divine it. Thou art afraid, it seems, lest I become a Christian, said Vinicius, shrugging his shoulders. I am afraid that thou hast spoiled life for thyself, if thou canst not be a Grecian, be a Roman, possess and enjoy. Our madnesses have a certain sense, for there is in them a kind of thought of our own. I despise Bronzebeard because he is a great buffoon. But if he held himself a Roman, I should recognize that he was right in permitting himself madness. Promise me that if thou find some Christian on returning home, thou wilt show thy tongue to him. If he be Glaucus the physician, he will not wonder, till we meet on the pond of Agrippa.